What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are going to take a look at the New York Islanders once again. We're taking a look at the New York teams again this week because they are making a lot of the headlines once again. The last couple weeks between the Islanders, the Sabres, the Rangers, we might be seeing a situation where we see the triple trifecta, which is the potentially firing of all the head coaches and GMs in New York. The Buffalo Sabres look like they're ready to let go of Adams and Ruff. The Rangers, Drury and Laviolette. Laviolette might be the safest guy. And then looking at the Islanders, as much, this is the thing, with Laviolette and Patrick Waugh for their respective teams for the Islanders and Rangers, I think are a good fit. They might just be the collateral downfall, though, from what ends up happening with whatever new GM comes in. Because I think, at the very least, all three general managers are definitely close to, if not out the door, by summer of 2025. And for the Islanders, I gotta be honest, I really haven't been watching the Islanders much. And from the limited stuff that I've seen, and from a lot of what the fan base is feeling right now, it's the same story every time. And I was shocked a couple weeks ago. The last Islander game I went to, the Islanders played the Hurricanes. And last night they played the Hurricanes, or 2 nights ago for you guys. Earlier this week, they played the Carolina Hurricanes down in Carolina. And it was the most Islanders-Hurricanes game that we've seen in the Lou Lamoriello era. The Islanders have played the Hurricanes a lot in the Lou Lamoriello era in terms of the playoffs. They're obviously in the same division, playing each other during the regular season. And it's basically the same story every time. And it usually involves either a 2-1, 4-0, or 3-0 shutout, or something like that. The Islanders maybe get a goal late to make it interesting, but that's about it. Because the way the Hurricanes play, they get that first 1 or 2 goal lead, and they are so tough to play against. They are the definition of the 2020-2021 New York Islanders. Those two teams, that back-to-back run to the conference final the Islanders had, were the teams that they would get that early 1 or 2 goal lead and would just sit on you the rest of the game, and they would just take all the air out of the building and would win that game. And that's exactly how Carolina wins. That is their specialty against the Islanders. And maybe they score another 2 goals like they did to make it 4-0, but they end up just owning their opponent. And the Islanders are the easiest team to do that against because they don't score goals. And what's really frustrating, if you're an Islanders fan, is you look at some of the guys that have been injured and they're coming back healthy. Bo Horvat was day-to-day the other day. Barzal came back the other day. Adam Pella came back the other day. It just doesn't seem like it matters because the Islanders continue to lose games no matter what. And when you're the Islanders right now, and probably one of the bright spots this season are the 2 newer guys on the Islanders that probably haven't been corrupted enough by the Islanders' recent struggles. I really like Isaiah George. I think he's a bright spot for the Islanders' blue line. How much more are we going to have to see for him to become a top 4 defenseman? Because I think by the end of the season, if the Islanders do make some trades here, there's a very real possibility he is a top 4 defenseman on the New York Islanders in 2025. And then Maxim Siplikov. Siplikov has been really exciting to watch. He's electric. He scores goals. He gives a level of offense to this team that the Islanders desperately need. And I think what's really concerning about these guys like George and Siplikov is I remember when Bo Horvat first came to the Islanders. The way he played in Vancouver is different than how he plays on the Islanders. But it's not like the Islanders do that purposely. They want him to play like the guy that was in Vancouver, having 50 goal, let's be honest, 40 goal seasons. A goal scorer, a sniper, right? That's why Colorado was after him. Half the league was after him at that trade deadline. And the New York Islanders were the team not only to get him, but to make him sign a long-term extension with them. That was a huge win for the Islanders. But it doesn't seem like, because the narrative has always been, well, the Islanders don't get the goal-scoring players. They don't get those guys. But they do. They have them. Duclair, Horvat, Siplikov. Now maybe Siplikov's not the type of guy you would expect to be at the top of that list, but those are guys that can play. Barzell, maybe not the goal scoring side of things, but he's a point producer. The Islanders have those players. They do. Maybe sparingly, but they do. But it seems like those guys, once they get to the Islanders, it seems like they don't have that same spark after a year or two. And maybe that's because of just the culture of the Islanders and their defensive-heavy mindset? Or is that because they just get drained from the way that the Islanders kind of run things? I think it's a combination of both. And I think Horvat's the latest example of that you could really see when he first came to the Islanders. He was scoring goals. He had the big game against his former team, Vancouver, and getting that big goal. And he does score electric goals, but it's not at the level we expected when the Islanders signed him. And that's kind of the sad thing. And I do worry about that for some of the younger guys on the Islanders. That is this going to affect how they play? And now the latest thing, which the Islanders did last week, is with Barzell coming back and Pella coming back, they sent Oliver Wahlstrom on waivers, where, of course, he goes back to his hometown team. He played up at Boston College. He is going to play for the Boston Bruins. And that first game the Islanders play the Boston Bruins in Boston, January 5th. If there is any way to bet on Wahlstrom scoring in that game, I would take every bit of that. Because Wahlstrom's going to score in that game if he is in the lineup. If he is healthy, and he isn't healthy scratched, which I'm sure he won't be, because I think Boston's smart enough to know he's going to have a fire under his behind to score against the Islanders in that game. January 5th, probably going to see a goal from Oliver Wahlstrom, and you can thank me later when he scores that goal. And it's one of those things for the Islanders right now where their schedule isn't even that difficult. They play Toronto 3 times between now and January 2nd. They play Toronto on the 21st. They play them again on New Year's Eve in Toronto. And then the first game in the new year, the Islanders are going to play the Leafs on January 2nd at UBS Arena. So 3 times they play the Leafs in basically what? What's today? The 18th? So between the 21st, so 10, 11, 12. So in a 12-day span, they play the Leafs 3 times. There's going to be some bad blood built up over those 3 games. The whole Tavares situation, right? We know Lamoriello, that whole thing. We know there's going to be some bad blood there. It's going to be an opportunity for the Islanders to do something, to get them to wake up. And I am really worried about the Islanders this season. The fact that this team is just where they have been for so long. And a 4-0 shutout against the Hurricanes. A 5-3 loss against the Blackhawks. Dead last in the NHL standings. And they lose to the Blackhawks. Not okay. 5-2 loss to the Seattle Kraken. A very much struggling Montreal Canadiens. The Islanders lost to the Canadiens in overtime up in Montreal a couple weeks back. That pitiful game the Islanders played against the Capitals at the end of last month. Was it Black Friday? November 29th in Washington. The Islanders had a 4-2 lead going into the third period. They lose 5-4 in overtime. How many more times do we have to see the Islanders playing like this? Now, very difficult situation for the ownership because that means you're going to have to let go of Lamoriello. It really puts into question what's the future of Patrick Roy, because I think Patrick Roy is the right coach for this team. He has the right amount of accountability for everybody in the room. And I think he's teaching these guys. And especially when you have the goalie tandem that you have with Sorokin and Varlamov, I think it's really important, like he said a couple weeks ago, he's like, they didn't stand, they basically left Sorokin out to dry and sticking up for his goalie, which is huge because the Islanders put some investment. What was it, $8 million per year on the next 8 years on Sorokin? They need him to do well. So having your goalies back as the coach, pretty good thing. You like to see that. So it's going to be one of those things. This is going to be a bumpy 2025 for the Islanders. And when I look at this team, potentially who could be going out the door, I think Lamoriello's out the door in 2025. I could see one of either Ryan Pulock or Adam Pelech going out the door. And Brock Nelson. I think Nelson's days on Long Island are numbered. And he's been an Islander since he was drafted, which is going to be a shame to see him leave. But I think the Islanders really need to evaluate the situation here, and they need to rebuild here. They have some good pieces there, but they need to reset at the very least. Maybe not a full rebuild, tear it all down. I've seen that. It's not probably going to happen. There's too many good players on the Islanders, like Sorokin, Horvat, Barzal. They have good players. I think they just need somebody to get the most out of those guys. And when Anders Lee is your leading goal scorer, great on Anders. He's got 13 goals this season, 25 points. It's not enough. You need Horvat to be leading the way, point per game, right? He's not. Same thing for Barzal. I know, Barzal's been injured. That's a part of it. You need Dobson to be better in his own end. That's been a big problem for the Islanders. They need him to be better. So let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know what trades you think the Islanders can make. What are your predictions for the New York Islanders in 2025? I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. As always, thank you so much for watching today's video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace out, guys.